Did you know that India, a nation celebrated for its vibrant culture, ancient history, and booming economy, is viewed unfavorably by 38% of people across 24 countries, according to a 2025 Pew Research Center survey? That's right. Despite its global influence, India faces tension, mistrust, and even outright hostility from several nations. From historical grudges to modern geopolitical rivalries, the reasons are complex, shocking, and often misunderstood. In this video, we're diving deep into why 8 countries – Pakistan, China, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Afghanistan, and the United Kingdom – have strained relations with India, backed by recent 2025 updates that reveal the pulse of these tensions. Buckle up for an eye-opening journey through geopolitics, history, and culture. And hey, if you love this kind of hard-hitting, informative content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We put a ton of effort into creating videos like this to keep you in the know. Number 8. Pakistan. Pakistan and India's rivalry is one of the most intense in the world, rooted in the 1947 partition that birthed both nations. The division of British India left deep scars, with disputes over Kashmir fueling 3 wars: 1947, 1965, 1971, and countless skirmishes. In 2025, tensions escalated after a deadly militant attack in Pahalgam, Indian-administered Kashmir, killed 26 civilians, prompting India to launch Operation Sindoor on May 6, striking 9 sites in Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif praised their air force for allegedly downing 5 Indian jets, while India accused Pakistan of harboring terrorists like Jaish-e-Mohammed. The Pew Research Center notes Pakistan's unfavorable view of India is near universal, driven by historical grievances, religious divides, and ongoing border clashes along the line of control. India's 2025 trade bans, including suspending the Indus Water Treaty and blocking Pakistani ships from Indian ports, further inflamed relations. Concepts like Akhand Bharat, advocating a unified India including Pakistan, spark outrage in Islamabad, with Pakistani officials calling it an expansionist mindset. Yet, some Pakistanis, like former ISI chief Asad Durrani, have floated ideas of an Indo-Pakistani confederation, though such visions remain distant amid mutual distrust. Number 7. China. China's strained relationship with India stems from territorial disputes and strategic competition. The 1962 Sino-Indian War over Aksai Chin and Arunachal Pradesh set a precedent for mistrust, with 2020's deadly Galwan Valley clash reigniting tensions. In 2025, India's resumption of tourist visas for Chinese citizens and trade talks signal cautious engagement. But China's Belt and Road Initiative, including control over Pakistan's Gwadar Port and Sri Lanka's Hambantota, alarms India as a string of pearls encircling it. India's growing ties with the U.S. and its role in the Quad alliance counter China's regional ambitions, while China's $142 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia in 2025 raises India's concerns about Beijing's influence in South Asia. Pew Research shows declining favorability of India in China, with only 30% holding positive views. India's 2025 tariff hikes on Chinese steel products and restrictions on IT hardware imports reflect economic rivalry. Meanwhile, Hindu nationalist rhetoric, like the RSS's Akhand Bharat map including Tibet, provokes Beijing, which sees India as challenging its regional dominance. Number 6. Bangladesh. Bangladesh's relationship with India has soured despite historical ties from India's role in its 1971 liberation from Pakistan. The 2024 ousting of pro-India Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and the rise of Muhammad Yunus's interim government shifted Dhaka's stance. In 2025, Bangladesh condemned India's border security force for killing 2 people at the border, accusing India of excessive force. A former Bangladeshi general's provocative call to annex India's northeast states if Pakistan attacks further strained ties. India's June 2025 ban on Bangladeshi jute imports via land and seaports sparked economic friction, while Bangladesh's removal of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's image from banknotes signaled a rejection of pro-India sentiment. The Akhand Bharat mural in India's parliament, depicting Bangladesh as part of a unified India, drew sharp criticism from Dhaka as revisionist. Pew Research indicates 40% of Bangladeshis view India unfavorably, reflecting distrust over border issues, water disputes, and India's perceived regional dominance. Number 5. Nepal. Nepal's tensions with India arise from a delicate balancing act between New Delhi and Beijing. The 2015 border blockade, blamed on India, caused fuel and medicine shortages, fostering resentment. In 2025, Nepal's concerns over India's Akhand Bharat mural, which included Nepal in a unified India, echoed fears of Indian expansionism. Nepal's participation in China's Belt and Road Initiative and rail diplomacy contrasts with India's influence via the Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal Motor Vehicles Agreement. The May 2025 declaration of Nepal's Yala Glacier as dead highlighted shared Himalayan environmental concerns. Yet India's open border with Nepal, misused by Pakistan's ISI per Indian claims, fuels security tensions. Pew Research shows 35% of Nepalis view India negatively, driven by perceptions of economic dependence and interference. India's $4 billion aid to Nepal strengthens ties, but Kathmandu's strategic hedging with China and domestic political shifts keep relations uneasy. Number 4. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's relationship with India is shaped by economic dependence and geopolitical maneuvering. India's $4 billion bailout during Sri Lanka's 2022 economic crisis outshone China's $2.9 billion IMF support. Yet China's control over Hambantota port worries India. In 2025, Sri Lanka's Kataragama Asala Festival and Posan Poya celebrations saw Indian cultural influence, but the Akhand Bharat mural sparked criticism from Colombo as expansionist. Alleged RSS Bodu Bala Sena talks of a Hindu-Buddhist peace zone raised fears of anti-Muslim majoritarianism, alienating Sri Lanka's Muslim minority. India's tightened security partnerships during the 2025 Kashmir crisis pressured Sri Lanka to align with New Delhi, but China's economic presence, including port city Colombo, complicates loyalty. Pew Research notes 42% unfavorable views of India in Sri Lanka, reflecting tensions over India's regional assertiveness and domestic ethnic sensitivities. Number 3. Maldives. The Maldives' ties with India deteriorated under President Mohamed Muizzu's anti-India stance in 2025. Despite India's 4,850 rupees crore credit line in July 2025, Muizzu's government leans toward China, with Beijing's investments rivaling India's influence. The Akhand Bharat mural controversy fueled Maldivian fears of Indian expansionism, with officials condemning it as a threat to sovereignty. India's Citizenship Amendment Act, excluding Muslim refugees from citizenship pathways, angered the 100% Muslim Maldives. Pew Research shows 45% unfavorable views of India, driven by perceptions of religious discrimination and regional dominance. India's naval presence in the Indian Ocean clashes with Maldives' strategic pivot to China, while domestic anti-India sentiment grows over fears of cultural and political overreach. Number 2. Afghanistan. Afghanistan's complex relationship with India is shaped by the Taliban's 2021 takeover. India's humanitarian aid, including wheat and medical supplies, contrasts with its non-recognition of the Taliban government. In 2025, Afghanistan's SAARC membership faced scrutiny, with members skipping its turn to appoint a Secretary General. The Akhand Bharat narrative, including Afghanistan in a unified India, provokes Taliban ire, while India's accusations of Pakistan's ISI using Afghanistan to destabilize India deepen mistrust. Pew Research indicates 50% unfavorable views of India in Afghanistan, reflecting ideological clashes and India's support for anti-Taliban factions. India's 2025 diplomatic push for UN resolutions on Afghan women's rights further strains relations with the Taliban, who see it as interference. Finally, number 1 is United Kingdom. The United Kingdom's tensions with India stem from historical colonial legacies and modern diplomatic frictions. The 1947 partition, orchestrated by Britain, remains a sore point, with 57% of Indians over 55 regretting it per a 2022 survey. In 2025, the UK's favorable view of India dropped to 60%, per Pew Research, after the UK suspended arms exports to Israel, indirectly pressuring India's arms trade policies. clashes between British Hindus and Muslims in Leicester in 2022, followed by India's one-sided condemnation, irritated London. India's abstention on UN resolutions against Russia's Ukraine invasion, despite UK pressure, and its continued Russian oil imports drew criticism. The July 2025 India-UK FTA signing shows economic cooperation, but historical grievances and differing global stances keep tensions alive. That's the shocking truth behind why these 8 countries have strained ties with India, rooted in history, geopolitics, and 2025's unfolding events. Which country's stance surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into global affairs. We pour our hearts into these videos, so hit that bell icon to stay updated. See you in the next one.